Welcome back to Living Local. Winter weather conditions like colder temperatures, snow, ice, the sun setting early can be challenging and stressful for the more than 16 million people caring for loved ones living with Alzheimer's or dementia. The current pandemic is adding even more complexities that can feel overwhelming for caregivers. Today, we're getting expert guidance on how to prepare for and navigate the winter season if you're caring for a loved one with Alzheimer's or dementia. Joining us via Zoom today is Megan Peterson with the Alzheimer's Association Iowa chapter. Megan, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
All right. Now, before we get into some tips, why don't you remind us first of all here of what the Alzheimer's Association does?
Yeah, so we are the leading provider in care, support, and research for Alzheimer's and dementia. Specifically locally, we have support groups, education programs. We offer care consultations for families that are going through their Alzheimer's and dementia journey. And we are here via phone and Zoom for everyone right now virtually, but here to provide any support that we can for individuals and families that are affected by Alzheimer's or other dementias.
Right, yeah, still helping people during the pandemic. Okay, Megan, now when it comes to winter weather, obviously everybody isn't really a fan, but why is it so stressful and more challenging for people, particularly caregivers and people actually suffering from dementia?
Yeah, so specifically for caregivers, you have to prepare a little bit more. An individual with dementia, their ability to get prepared with all the clothing they might need, or they might not be able to see snow and ice as well. So making sure that we're prepared with making sure sidewalks are clear or enough layers, or that we have help in case of an emergency and we need to be able to get out to a store, get to an errand. And prepare. For those caregivers, it's harder. And for an individual with dementia, it can just be harder to understand why we need to wear so many layers to stay warm, or why it might be slippery when we're walking. So it's important to stay prepared and to have people available to help you as well.
Okay, so you're trying to prepare for, make sure you have help, make sure we're dressed properly, make sure we're being able to navigate where we're going and keeping pathways clear in that. How can caregivers help prevent all of those things from happening? Well, especially, let's talk about slips, actually. How can a caregiver help prevent that from happening, besides, I guess, cleaning wherever you're going to be walking, right?
Yeah, we definitely want to make sure that we have sidewalks and driveways cleared. Vision changes can affect individuals with Alzheimer's and dementia, so making sure that everything is clear, because they might not be able to see snow or ice, and so knowing that it's slippery. Making sure we have sturdy shoes on so that we can walk with the individual with dementia and walk with them into stores. If you have to go into a store, parking closer, we know we have to wear masks when we go into the store, and that can add some additional challenges when we're walking in. So making sure to have an arm available to keep them steady and to keep the caregiver steady as well. So sturdy shoes, keeping sidewalks cleared as well as can be, and staying inside if we know that we're not able to keep the areas free from slips.
Megan, I want to go back to clothing-wise. You mentioned here just a second ago. What is so important about dressing appropriately in the winter months for people with dementia? Yeah,
so we want to make sure that we help them understand why they need to be warm, so that they might not realize that it's cold outside and that having layers is important. So making sure we have some loose-fitting, dry clothes for them so that they can layer on. It's also more difficult for them to maybe put on gloves. So maybe we can have mittens available, or having help with a hat or a headband to make sure that their ears are warm. They may just need more assistance. And so it's really important for caregivers and friends and family to be able to help them do that by having everything prepared and laid out for them if they have to go on an outing, keeping the mittens and scarf and hat right next to the coat so that we can ensure that they're staying warm, especially if a fall would happen, if an individual would get out of the house. That's especially worrisome, especially in cold weather.
Yes, I want to bring up wandering. We hear about that a lot of times, of somebody who's suffering from dementia and they end up, missing, or at least for a short time. What can their caregivers do to try to prevent that?
Yeah, so making sure that we have the resources so that they can stay warm if they do get out of the house, but in the house to really make sure that they're staying active during the day. A lot of times wandering will happen at night, and since it's getting darker earlier, making sure to keep the house well lit so that they think that it's daytime, or keeping them active during the day so that they have more things to do. If they do tend to wander, having motion detectors or maybe a door chime on the door so that if the door is open, the caregivers can hear that as well. But really notifying your neighbors too to let them know, there's an individual with Alzheimer's living here. If you see them out of the house, especially in the evening, in the cold weather, any time of day that they really shouldn't be out, making sure to alert the caregiver, having that support around you while also keeping them active at home during the day, keeping lights on at night, that may help.
Lastly, Megan, here we've talked a lot about things that caregivers can do. It sounds like a lot of responsibility for those people. If caregivers, if you have some of those people who feel overwhelmed during the winter months or really any time of year, how can they get support or help with handling the loved one or whoever they're trying to take care of?
Sure. So especially during the winter months, maybe asking for help with shoveling snow or getting groceries. If you're a friend and family member of a caregiver that's caring for an individual with Alzheimer's or dementia, reach out to them and ask them if there are ways that you can help. And maybe you have to say, I'm going to get your groceries for you this week, so that they know that you're willing to help them. And then also the caregiver support groups and education that we have available. We are always here to help. We have a 24/7 helpline available as well. If caregivers or individuals living with dementia need someone to talk to, we're here and available, but reach out for support. If you know someone who's a caregiver, reach out to them as well to let them know they're doing their best and that you're also there to help them, especially through these winter months.
Yeah, tough time of year and important resources that you're offering. Megan Peterson with the Iowa chapter of the Alzheimer's Association. Megan, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
All right, and if you need more help and support, you can just visit the Alzheimer's Association's website there. It's alz.org/Iowa. We'll also have those details posted on our website. That's ourquadcities.com.